I worked hard my whole life, but I never learned how money really works. For years, I thought those were the same thing. I thought if you worked long enough, honestly enough, faithfully enough, money would eventually reward you. I thought hard work naturally became stability. I thought being responsible would turn into freedom. I thought if I kept showing up, kept paying the bills, kept doing the right thing, life would eventually feel secure. But that is not what happened. I worked hard, very hard, and still, for most of my life, money felt like something I was chasing, not something I understood. It came in and it went out. I earned it and it disappeared. I respected it enough to fear not having it, but not enough to truly learn it. And that is a painful thing to realize when you are older. You can spend decades working for money without ever learning how to make money work for you. I think that is where many good people get trapped. Not lazy people, not careless people, good people, responsible people, the kind of people who wake up early, stay late, do what they said they would do, and carry their lives with dignity. We were told that was enough. Work hard, stay out of trouble, be grateful, pay your bills, save what you can, don't be reckless. That was the formula many of us inherited. And there is nothing wrong with those values. The problem is they're incomplete. Because hard work can help you survive, but it does not automatically teach you how money behaves. It does not automatically teach you leverage, investing, compounding, debt, opportunity cost, inflation, cash flow, or financial independence. It does not teach you the difference between income and wealth. It does not teach you that a person can earn for 40 years and still never build security if all they do is exchange time for money and spend most of it staying afloat. I did not understand that when I was younger. To me, money was emotional before it was educational. It was stress, relief, pressure, bills, groceries, rent, school clothes, car repairs, utility payments. It was never a system I was taught to understand. It was a recurring problem I was taught to manage. I learned how to stretch it, how to worry about it, how to talk about it carefully, how to do mental math at the store, how to postpone purchases, how to tell myself maybe next month. But I was never taught how to build with it. No one sat me down and said, this is how money quietly grows. This is how debt quietly traps you. This is how fear keeps people financially small. This is why labor alone, without knowledge, can keep a person tired for life. So I did what many people do. I became a worker, a dependable one, a proud one. I believed there was dignity in earning your way, and there is. But I also believed earning was the whole game. I didn't understand that if all you do is work harder without learning financial strategy, you can remain vulnerable no matter how honest your labor is. You can be the most disciplined employee in the room and still retire anxious. You can be the person everyone trusts, the person who never stops, the person who carries everyone else, and still not know the first real thing about how to create lasting financial peace. The hardest part is that society often praises this confusion. People admire the one who works nonstop, the one who never complains, the one who always picks up extra shifts, the one who can be counted on. And again, there is honor in that. I am not mocking hard work. I come from it. I respect it. I lived by it. But hard work without financial understanding can become a treadmill. You burn energy, you gain some ground, and then life raises the speed again. Rent goes up. Prices go up. Repairs come. Health costs come. Children need things. Emergencies happen. Years pass. And you keep telling yourself you just need to keep pushing. But if the structure underneath your effort never changes, more effort often just means more exhaustion. I wish I had realized earlier that money is not only about what you earn. It is about what you understand. That lesson would have changed my life. Because there were years when I thought my problem was not enough income, when the deeper problem was not enough literacy. I did not know how to evaluate risk. I did not know how to think long-term. I did not know how to separate wants from habits, or bills from patterns, or income from ownership. I did not know how many financial decisions are made emotionally long before they are made mathematically. I knew how to survive payday to payday. I did not know how to build. And survival can look so normal that you never question it. That is the trap. If everyone around you is living the same way, worrying the same way, reacting the same way, then your stress starts to feel ordinary. You think this is just adulthood. You think this is what everyone deals with. In a sense, it is. But that does not mean it has to define your whole life. I didn't know that. I thought the discomfort around money was permanent. I thought anxiety was part of responsibility. I thought if I kept working, one day I would simply arrive at security. I never stopped to ask whether the road I was on was even designed to get me there. I remember kitchen table arithmetic. Not financial planning, arithmetic. There is a difference. Real planning asks, how do I build stability 5 years from now? Arithmetic asks, how do I make it to next Friday? Real planning asks, how can I own more of my time? Arithmetic asks, which bill can wait? Real planning asks, how do I grow? Arithmetic asks, what do I cut? I spent too many years doing arithmetic and calling it financial responsibility. In truth, I was mostly managing pressure. I was not building freedom. I was not learning systems. I was not understanding the machine. I was standing inside it, working harder every year, hoping effort alone would eventually rescue me. I also think many people carry shame around money, and shame is one of the reasons they never learn it. That was true for me. Money made me feel exposed. If I had too little, I felt behind. If I made a mistake, I felt embarrassed. If I didn't understand something, I felt foolish. And when people feel foolish, they often avoid learning the very thing that could free them. They stay in what they know, even if what they know is painful. I did that. I stayed with familiar struggle instead of risking the discomfort of becoming financially literate. I told myself I was just not that kind of person. Not an investor. Not a business thinker. Not someone who understood numbers in that way. But sometimes what we call personality is simply prolonged avoidance. There were opportunities one ignored because they sounded unfamiliar. There were questions I should have asked sooner. There were books I should have read. Conversations I should have had. Habits I should have changed. I am not saying I would have become wealthy overnight. That is not the point. The point is that I would have become different. I would have become less helpless, less reactive, less dependent on effort alone. I would have begun to see money not only as something that came and went, but as a tool, a system, a language. And when you do not understand the language that shapes so much of adult life, you live with a disadvantage that hard work alone cannot erase. I learned too late that many people confuse being broke with being bad at earning, when sometimes they are simply bad at structuring. A person can earn decent money and still leak it through unconscious living. A person can have discipline at work and complete chaos at home. A person can be good, honest, hardworking, and still stay financially fragile because they never learned to build margin. I was one of those people for longer than I care to admit. There were years I thought more income would fix everything. Sometimes it helped briefly, but because the structure underneath stayed the same, the relief never lasted. More came in, more went out, and the old anxiety returned wearing slightly better clothes. That cycle teaches you something dangerous if you stay in it too long. It teaches you that you are powerless. It teaches you that money is always just out of reach, always attached to stress, always a source of tension rather than possibility. And once a person internalizes that, they stop imagining freedom. They stop asking bigger questions. They stop thinking in terms of ownership, growth, and leverage. They settle into maintenance. They become excellent at enduring and poor at expanding. That was me. I had become so used to managing pressure that I no longer expected peace. I think about all the years I spent equating financial maturity with restriction. Don't buy this. Don't spend that. Cut this. Delay that. And again, restraint matters. But restraint without strategy can become a bleak little prison. It is not enough to only learn how to shrink. At some point, you must learn how to build, how to direct money, how to preserve it, how to multiply it, how to keep fear from making every financial choice for you. Because fear makes bad money decisions too. Fear keeps people from investing in themselves. Fear keeps them in bad jobs too long. Fear makes them cling to familiar struggle because uncertainty feels more dangerous than stagnation. Fear convinces them that small is safe, even when small is quietly suffocating them. My relationship with money was shaped by fear more than I understood. Fear of not having enough. Fear of making a wrong move. fear of losing what little I had, fear of looking ignorant, fear of failing publicly. So I stayed conservative in ways that were not always wise. Sometimes I called it responsibility. Sometimes it was just fear protecting its territory. And fear, when it comes to money, often disguises itself as prudence. It says don't ask, don't try, don't risk, don't learn. Just keep working, just keep surviving, just keep getting by. But getting by is not the same as building security. I remember one moment very clearly. I was sitting at a table with bills spread out in front of me, not because there was some major crisis, but because there was the usual pressure. The ordinary pressure. The kind that had become so familiar I barely questioned it anymore. And I had a thought that stopped me cold. I realized I had been working for decades, and money still frightened me. Not because I had none, but because I had never made peace with understanding it. That is a humiliating realization when you are older. To look at your life and see how much labor went into it, and still know there are parts of adulthood you approached more with anxiety than with mastery. That was the beginning of a painful awakening. I started asking myself harder questions. Why had I never truly learned this? Why had I spent so many years in reaction? Why had I accepted the idea that financial stress was just normal for people like me? Why had I treated money as an emotional event instead of a system to study? And perhaps the hardest question of all, how much life had been shaped by what I did not know? Because money affects more than purchases. It affects choices. It affects whether you stay or leave, whether you rest or keep grinding, whether you have room to breathe or live in constant dependence on the next paycheck. It affects dignity, time, relationships, health, and hope. When money is unstable, many parts of life become smaller. And when a person never learns how to stabilize and direct money, they often never fully own their life. That is what I wish someone had told me. Financial ignorance is not just a numbers problem. It is a freedom problem. I don't say that to shame anyone. Shame helps no one. I say it because honesty matters. There are many people working themselves to the bone, believing that exhaustion is proof they're on the right path financially. But exhaustion is not a financial plan. Neither is loyalty. Neither is good character by itself. Character matters. Work ethic matters. But you also need understanding. You need vision. You need enough literacy to know the difference between effort that sustains life and effort that can actually transform it. The saddest part is not that I was poor for seasons. Many people endure hard seasons. The saddest part is that I stayed undereducated about money for too long because I thought decency and labor would somehow make up for it. They do not. A good heart does not automatically create wealth. Long hours do not automatically create margin. A stable paycheck does not automatically create security. And if you do not actively learn, the world will happily let you remain financially useful without ever becoming financially free. What changed me was not one brilliant investment or one lucky break. It was clarity, painful clarity. The realization that I had spent too many years respecting money emotionally and neglecting it intellectually. I feared it, needed it, chased it, but did not study it deeply enough. Once I saw that, I began to understand why hard work had felt so heavy for so long. I had been asking labor to do what only knowledge and structure could do. I was trying to earn my way out of problems I had not learned my way out of. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I would not tell her to work less. I would tell her to learn sooner. Learn while the stakes are smaller. Learn before panic becomes routine. Learn before bad habits harden into identity. Learn before fear turns you into someone who thinks survival is the highest financial goal. I would tell her that the goal is not merely to pay your bills. The goal is to build a life that is not constantly at the mercy of them. I would tell her that money is not evil, but ignorance about money is expensive. I would tell her that there is no virtue in remaining confused. I would tell her that understanding money is not greed. It is responsibility. It is stewardship. It is one way of protecting your future self from unnecessary fear. I would tell her that every year she avoids learning, she is handing more power to stress than stress deserves. And that is what I want to say to anyone listening now. If you work hard but still feel trapped, do not automatically assume the answer is only more effort. Ask whether you understand the game you are spending your life playing. Ask whether your habits are building security or merely preserving pressure. Ask whether you have been loyal to struggle because struggle feels familiar. Ask whether fear has convinced you that financial literacy belongs to other people. It does not. It belongs to anyone willing to learn. I worked hard my whole life, but I never learned how money really works. That realization came late, and it hurt. But it also freed me from one of the biggest lies I had ever believed, that effort alone guarantees peace. It does not. Effort matters. Honesty matters. Discipline matters. But if you want financial peace, you must also understand what money does, how it moves, how it grows, how it disappears, and how it shapes your choices. Otherwise, you may spend 40 years doing everything right in spirit while still feeling wrong in structure. Do not wait that long. Work hard, yes, but also learn. Learn until money stops feeling like a mysterious force that keeps happening to you. Learn until your choices become calmer. Learn until your future is not built only on hope and more hours. Learn until your labor finally has something solid beneath it. Because a hardworking life without financial understanding can become a long, honorable struggle. And struggle, no matter how honorable, is not the same as freedom.